Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of F1TW, the series where I go over everything that's happened in F1 in the last week or so. This week was the 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix, following on from last week's chaotic Brazilian Grand Prix. Lewis, for this weekend, copied Lando's disco ball helmet from Miami. Sauber have added a checker flag livery to show how they are nearing the end of their existence as they become Audi next year. VCarb put some splashes of purple on their car, and Williams darkened the blue and added some nice rainbow detailing. In F1, Charles Leclerc got the fastest lap with a 1 minute 34.802, and a lot of drivers went into runoffs, but there were so many I can't even name them all. In FP2 again, quite a few drivers went off. Out of nowhere, a red flag came out for a loose drain cover, similar to 2023, except that year we didn't get a red flag for it. When the red flag ended though, Charles Leclerc suffered a gearbox issue, causing another red flag. Lando Norris got the fastest lap this time with a 1 minute 33.602. In FP3 at the start of the session, the track was a bit damp, so most drivers used intermediate tyres. Once more, too many drivers went off for me to name them, but Lando was the first driver to try the slicks before Oscar followed behind. In the end, George Russell got the fastest lap with a 1 minute 34.054. Now into qualifying. In Q1 the track was very wet, so for the first time in what feels like forever, we saw drivers running full wet tyres. With roughly a minute left, Ollie Behrman locked up and completely aquaplaned into the wall. Luckily he didn't hit it too hard, so there wasn't any damage really and no red flag. As Alex was about to get a good lap to escape the drop zone, he slightly lost his grip, but he was so close to the wall that it resulted in a huge impact, ruining his qualifying attempt. Somehow he manages to coast it back to the pits to avoid any yellow flags, or there were yellow flags, but to avoid any red flags. Max Verstappen got the fastest lap with a 1 minute 53.458, and the drivers eliminated were Alex Albon, Kimi Antonelli, Gabriel Bortoleto, Yuki Tsunoda and Lewis Hamilton. In Q2, the drivers are still using full wets, though the track has dried out a little bit. Franco Colapinto had a huge slide through turn 16, but somehow managed to save it. George Russell got the fastest lap with a 1 minute 50.935, and the drivers eliminated were Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Oliver Behrman and Franco Colapinto. In Q3, finally the track has dried up enough for intermediate tyres. At the end of the session, everyone is pushing, but who will get pole? Max is on provisional pole ahead of Carlos, Lando and Oscar, but only the McLarens have time for another lap. Almost 2 minutes after the checkered flag, Lando takes pole by 3/10 ahead of Max with a lap time of 1 minute 47.934. So the grid order for the top 10 is Norris, Verstappen, Sainz, Russell, Piastri, Lawson, Alonso, Hadjar, Leclerc and Gasly. In the race at turn 1, Lando Norris goes wide and Max overtakes him for the lead. On the first straight, George also manages to overtake Lando for P2. Going back a bit, at turn 1, Gabriel Bortoleto brakes too late and slams into Lance Stroll, taking both of them out of the race. Kimi Antonelli was given quite a harsh 5-second penalty for moving before the start. Now the reason I say it's harsh is because all he was doing was slowly creeping forwards on the grid. On lap 2 at turn 9, Liam Lawson gets front wing damage, but the replay doesn't show how it happened, so I don't know. Contrary to popular belief, I did not get up at 3 AM to watch the race. On lap 12, going down the back straight, Oscar Piastri's car was seen to be sparking a lot more than most other cars as it was overtaken by Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. On lap 14 at turn 14, Charles Leclerc sends it down the inside of Isaac Hadjar to take P5. That same lap on the back straight, Alex just goes straight into the back of Lewis Hamilton, damaging his own front wing and earning himself a 5-second penalty. On lap 34, Lando Norris is chasing George Russell and asks the team if he should stay with him for DRS or just overtake. The team tells him to overtake now and chase down Max, who has been cruising in the lead for pretty much the entire race. On lap 39, going into turn 14, Kimi Antonelli is defending hard from Oscar Piastri, who's trying to put as much space as possible between him and Charles Leclerc, who's behind. On lap 48, it's revealed that Lando Norris is suffering some sort of issue, presumably low fuel, and slowing down. On lap 50, at the end of the race, Max Verstappen crosses the line to keep himself in the title race. By the end of the race, Max had the fastest lap with a 1 minute 33.365, and Liam Lawson, Franco Colapinto were the 2 drivers lapped. Due to his penalty, Kimi Antonelli was pushed back to P5 behind Oscar, but only 2 tenths ahead of Charles Leclerc. The finishing order was Max Verstappen keeping himself in the title fight, Lando Norris in a very good position to win the championship, George Russell, Oscar Piastri securing a McLaren 2-4, Kimi Antonelli, Mercedes scoring a 3-5, Leclerc, Sainz, Hadjar, Hulkenberg and Hamilton, the last point scorer, then Ocon, Behrman, Alonso, Tsunoda, Gasly, Lawson, Colapinto and Albon, who retired, and then Bortoletto and Stroll, who both crashed out at turn 1. So after the race had already finished, it was announced that both McLaren drivers had been called to the stewards' room for plank wear. After 2 hours of silence, the FIA put out documents confirming that both Lando and Oscar had been disqualified. Then they recalled Oscar Piastri's document because they realised they'd accidentally copy and pasted the measurements from Lando's document, so they had to re-release Oscar's disqualification document. Even when disqualifying the McLarens, the FIA still managed to find a way to mess it up. So this means that Kimi Antonelli is now on the podium, Haas get a double points finish, Charles Leclerc missed a podium by 2 tenths, and Max and Oscar are now tied on points. While the McLaren investigation was going on, Aston Martin quietly fired their team principal Andy Cowell, and he has now been replaced by Adrian Newey. So in just a little fact here, if Lando Norris outscores Max and Oscar by 2 points in Qatar, he is the world champion. So that's something to look forward to. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Join my Discord server, please. Yeah, we're done. Goodbye!
Lando Norris is the greatest, the almighty Lando.